What's up, Vikings fans? We're doing a challenge here at Chat Sports because one person commented 53 times on a video. So what we're going to do here on today's show is I'm going to give a special shout-out on a future show to the person that breaks the record. So go down in the comments and spam. Let's just spam FGB if you hate the Packers. So the person that spams FGB the most, got to get over 53 times, we're going to give you a special shout-out on the next show. Coming up here on today's show, we're doing Vikings trade targets. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. And we're just going to walk you guys through some names that just at least put on your radar, because after June 1st is a lot of the time when you see some NFL teams, they get some extra money, certain cuts start to happen, and then a little bit more of aggressiveness comes. So for the Minnesota Vikings, you go out. This is what you're out. I'll call it your off-season outlook. You go ahead and you hire Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, who I thought he proved in the draft that he wasn't afraid to make a trade whatsoever. I feel like every single time, Vikings are on the clock. Vikings trade and are no longer on the clock. So you could definitely look to add a few extra pieces. You have the cap space to go out and add just a few little dudes at $11.09 million. I'm not sitting up here saying you're going to see a blockbuster deal, but you could see at least one go down. So what I want you guys to do is, before I go ahead and give you some names to at least keep in mind, maybe you should save them on your phone, save them on your laptop, and just look out for a bunch of names. Go ahead and comment a name right now that you think the Vikings should go out and trade for. The first name on this list is a center. Yes, centers are people too, and it's a very important position for Minnesota. I'm going to go with Drew Dalman, who played last season for the Atlanta Falcons, and it's simply just a need, right? Bradbury, not the guy. And when you look at a lot of the contract details that he had, sure, the Vikings try to do their best by going out and getting another offensive lineman, interior guy, Agim. Maybe he can play at center. But what I know is this, and a lot of times the big guys on the front, they what's a good way to say it? They don't get a lot of love. They don't get a lot of credit. But for a team that wants to be able to run the football in a zone-style scheme that they do with Dalvin Cook, believe it or not, the center is a very important position. And Drew Dalman last season, according to PFF, had a 78.3 overall grade. Run blocking grade, that's the important one that I personally look for, at 92.3 at center, especially for this offense. Sure, the pass blocking grade is not great at 40.9, but if you're Atlanta, you drafted his replacement last season. So they potentially could go a little bit younger. They could potentially go with a different route. That's why Drew Dalman is on my list. So we started with center. The last video that we made, I actually saw a lot of people saying that you guys think that right now, after the draft, after free agency, that center was the biggest need. Do you still feel that way? What is the Vikings' biggest need? Let me know down in the comments. Let's go to the next name on our list here, and it's defensive tackle from the Denver Broncos, McTelvin, Agim. And he had 12 tackles last season, 1.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Wasn't necessarily a big impact player, which is why I am also going to go ahead and throw in his teammate, Mike Purcell, because you have two options here. And yes, I do think Purcell would end up costing you maybe a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you're just looking for some depth pieces. You're hoping that your big guy who you signed last offseason in Dalvin Tomlinson can step up and be that dude that you were hoping him to be able to do. Harrison Phillips is another really big name on the interior. McGill is a name to keep in mind. But you're going to be running a lot, and I mean a lot of different fronts, a lot of different switching, a lot of ins and outs here. The thing that I like about Purcell, and this is from a career standpoint, you're just getting somebody with some extra experience. 138 tackles and his 57 games played, 13 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. This is more of just a depth piece, somebody who you could also go ahead and bring in to be a veteran. So we are trying to get to 5,000. Yes, 5,000 subscribers. We need 846 more. I don't know if you guys have hit that sub button yet. I don't know if you got those notifications turned on. But we got you covered here with weekly Vikings videos. There's no other Vikings channels out there doing what we do. We know that. You know that too. So make sure you subscribe. If there's breaking news, we're going to cover it. Like, straight up, if there is a breaking news story, the Vikings go out and deal somebody, you guys are getting a video. More subs equals more videos, so if you haven't, take that link and send it to a friend. Let's go to a wide receiver here, and it's KJ Hamler from the Denver Broncos. So a lot of Broncos players making our list, and for Hamler, I liked him a lot when he was first coming out of college, and he's had a little bit of an issue, I'll say, getting his right footing in with Denver. Only 35 catches, 455 yards, 3 touchdowns in 16 games. Did have a little bit of an injury, but I could also see a breakout year coming up for him. Why? Because you moved on from Drew Lock, no disrespect, Teddy Bridgewater. You move on from quarterbacks like that, and you get an upgrade with Russell Wilson. So I like Adam Thielen. I like Justin Jefferson, obviously. That's one of the best duos in the entire league. KJ Osborne was also a player that we mentioned as being a potential breakout candidate as well. However, if you can make a little bit more wide receiver room, or if you can make your room legit, like one of the best in the league, why would you not go ahead and do it? And for KJ Hamler, who is a smaller receiver, works predominantly on the inside, quick, twitchy, can go ahead and pick up some of those tough first downs, I think that's something that you're looking for, especially when you're not 100% confident in your tight end room. Yes, I like Irv Smith, but he's also coming off an injury. You don't necessarily know what you're going to get, and if I can get a safety blanket in Hamler for a cheap price, why not? Let's go ahead. Let's make it happen. So do the Vikings need to add another wide receiver this offseason? You got 3 guys that you can rely on, but you are also 1 injury away, which I don't know if I can rely on Adam Thielen playing an entire 17-game season, which is why I'm okay with the idea of going out and trading for Hamler. But why for yes and for no do the Vikings need another receiver? Now, the next name is also a receiver. It's Laviska Shenault Jr., Jacksonville Jaguars. And the reason why he's on this list is because he's a playmaker. I love what I saw from Cordell Patterson this past year with the Atlanta Falcons. They used him all over the football field. And for Laviska Shenault, I actually think that you could use him in a very similar way. This is going to be a name that I know a lot of y'all probably love, respect, Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin was just a playmaker. Was he a good receiver? Yes, unfortunately for him. Migraines, had other issues going on behind the scenes. But in Laviska's first 2 years in the league, 58 grabs, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Last season, 63 grabs, 619 yards, no touchdowns. Is he coming off a year with no touchdowns? Yes, he is. But you saw how much drama there was last season with Urban Meyer. Trevor Lawrence was not all that great. And I think we can all agree, Kirk Cousins, at this current moment, is better than Trevor Lawrence. So be the GM here. Would you go out and would you make the deal? T for trade, P for pass. Trade for Laviska Shenault. He might not be simply just a wide receiver. He is a playmaker. And I have always been a big believer that you can't have enough big-time playmakers on your team. When he was out in college, he was doing kick returns. He was doing punt returns. He was doing it all for, which is, what school did he go to now? Whatever. Colorado, that's the school. Shout out to Jack. I couldn't think of it. But T for trade or P for pass. All right, y'all, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. I had a bright and early flight this morning, so shout out to Jack for being able to make all these graphics. I landed at like 6 a.m., but it's another reason why you should subscribe. I got 2 hours of sleep, came in, made a Vikings video for you. Why? We're dedicated. So if you could, take that second and hit that sub button.